Hi everyone, and thanks for joining me today for another blade review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the SOG Aegis model AE01. Now I originally saw this knife last year sometime, decided to pick it up in the winter, did a little bit of research on it, obviously went through the standard protocol of checking out all the reviews I could on YouTube. The vast majority of them were very compellingly positive reviews, and I decided to pull the trigger and pick this one up. I can't remember exactly when last winter I did pick it up, but it has been in my service since then. It does come in a SOG box. Good looking box. There's the item information if you're interested. Inside the box, there's a nice little brochure with some of the other offerings from SOG. A little bit of information, quite nice. Well executed. So let's go over a few of the specs first. The handle is 4¼ inches long when it's closed. Overall length is 8.25 inches. The blade is a cryo-treated 3.5 inch AUS-8 blade. They say that it is rated at 57 to 58 HRC. It is also 0.125 inches thick. Now just note that when they say 0.125, they mean before the ricasso, which is this line right here. So it might be a little bit misleading to some that think that that's how thick their blade is, when really it's just this portion back. That's the thickness. From this point forward, the blade gets progressively thinner and thinner and thinner. The knife is an assisted knife, which means that there's basically a coil spring around the pivot, and after about 15 to 20%, it just pops the blade out. The blade's always under tension, and the locking system is called the arc lock. It does at first glance look somewhat similar to the Benchmade axis lock, but it's very different. It is only on one side, and unlike the axis lock, which the bar goes right through and locks the blade when it's open, this particular lock has the bar is actually up here, and this little lever just kind of acts on the bar up here. So let's go over a few pros and cons. The first pro to me was the blade shape. This is the real selling point of the knife to me. I just absolutely love that blade shape. I saw that blade shape, and that's what sold the knife. It's belly from the heel to the tip. It's beautifully executed. A gorgeous satin finish on it. It's the sharpened edge comes really far back. The ricasso starts just after the handle. I really like that. I don't really care for knives where the ricasso starts out here and you lose that amount of blade. When I do cutting tasks, I like to choke up as far as I can on the knife, and use that portion of the knife a lot for the tough cutting chores, as you've really got the most leverage there. Absolutely love the blade. Full flat grind. comes down to a very sharp point. Excellent for detail work. Beautiful looking knife. The weight. The weight on this knife is advertised at 3.1 ounces. You know me by now. Let's double check that claim. .12. I'll go with 3.1. So for the size of the blade, I mean, it's a 3.5 inch blade, guys, and it weighs 3.1 ounces. Super light knife. Super light. Excellent, excellent work in that regard. Another one of the pros is the traction. You can see it's got this great big finger swell here. It does have some like SOG lettering in a kind of a hard rubber that acts as a traction. We'll get to that in a minute. But I actually find that just the shape of the handle lends itself to really locking it in either grip. Very, very nicely done in that respect. The other thing that I really like about a lot of SOGs is their clip. I am a really big fan of deep carry, and SOG is one of the very few companies that just does it right. Look at how deep that is. The knife itself actually is below the top of the clip. That means when it's in your pocket, the knife is riding low. You can't see the knife, you can just see the top of the clip. Love that. And the clip is easily reversible just by taking out this screw, pulling it out, turning it around, popping it in, screwing it in. See that screw right there? And you're laughing. It's SOG clips are excellent, not too stiff, not too light, just the right amount of tension. Love it. So, now let's get to the things that I don't like. First of all, I mean, safety. Come on, guys, let's stop putting money into safeties. I'd rather save the money on that and just not have it on there. Like I've said before, I've never in my life had a knife deploy when I didn't want it to. Why we think we need to have safeties, I don't know. Some people seem to like them. I don't. They're easy to actuate unintentionally, and then when you need your knife, you're mucking around, and yeah, it's just frustrating. I really don't like them. The other thing about this is the handle is a glass reinforced nylon, and it just feels flimsy to me. I got to be honest. It's just, you can see how much I can just squeeze it, and it's just it just doesn't really. It's not very confidence inspiring, I guess. It's just, you can kind of hear how it, it's just not my favorite. Another thing that I don't like about this knife, the branding. SOG is notorious for writing SOG on their knife. Here, that's where your branding should be, guys. There's no need for SOG, 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 SOG. SOG, 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 SOG. And then SOG on your pocket clip. It's tacky. I just find it to be very, very tacky. It's something that I can live with if it's an outstanding knife, but you know what? I just find it's a little bit tacky. I'd rather have something a little bit more classically styled with less of the branding. The other thing that I don't really care for is the assist. there's really not a lot of let up. Well, there isn't any let up at all in the assist. That means you can see how there's always tension on the blade, and the fact that there's always tension on the blade makes it difficult to close one-handed. Any assisted knife is generally difficult to close one-handed, which is why I'm kind of gravitating more to unassisted knives. Don't get me wrong, I still like an assisted knife. I just can appreciate being able to close that knife with one hand safely more. Most other assisted knives, here's a great example, Kershaw Leak. This is the one that I stone washed. You can see how there's that little bit of slack in there. I mean, the assist still works great, but there's that little bit of slack so that you can quite easily close it with one hand. This knife lacks that feature, if it is indeed a feature. The thumb studs I think are okay, but I do find that they do have a sharp edge to them, so I'm not really digging on that sharp edge too much. I can live with it, but it's you know, for a knife that, you know, retails at 93, 94 bucks, it's something that they should have put a little bit more thought into, in my opinion. And that really brings us to what, in my opinion, is the showstopper of this knife. And that is the blade play. Keep in mind, guys, that this knife retails for $95, give or take. I mean, yeah, you can get it for cheaper on eBay and whatnot, but the manufacturer's suggested retail price is pushing $100. There is quite a bit of side-to-side play. I mean, you can see it. It's silly. Not only that, up and down play? Really? It's just, it's loose in all directions. And you know what? I did try to muck around with the pivot. This is the best that it gets, guys. If I tighten this anymore, it's not an assisted knife anymore. It's a two-handed opening knife. It's as far as I'm concerned, for $100 knife, this is defective. I'm really not happy with it. Blade centering's off, of course. In fact, it's almost rubbing. Yeah, I'm just really not pleased with it. This, you know, is, keep in mind too when you're watching this, that this is this knife. The other knives may be perfectly fine, but you know, that's this knife, and this knife I've carried twice, just because, you know, I was so happy to get it, and it was like, oh, I love this knife, checked it out, and it was just like, I just can't live with that. It's terrible. Now, back to the branding. Another thing that I don't like is the fact that the branding goes right underneath the pocket clip. I found it was quite difficult to get this in and out of your pocket, just because that raised texture of SOG, just right at the pocket clip, it just hung up. And I had heard of that before from other people, so I did what everybody else suggests, and see it, but I just very lightly shaved it away right underneath the clip. You can hardly even tell. And yeah, I never really used it since. It's still the factory edge. I think I did strop it because I strop all my knives. But this, to me, this knife was just a disappointment. The jimping on the top may as well not even be there. It's um, you know, it is what it is. The other thing is, it's really tough to tell, but for me, this knife just really wasn't comfortable. It looks like it should be. It's got this great, for lack of a better term, choil, but more of a cutaway. But I find, and I've got large size hands, that it just doesn't feel good. You can see by the knuckles on my hand, this one's up, down, up, down. So it just kind of feels strange. Now if there was a forward choil here, like up here, where you could grip it in this kind of a way, it would be very comfortable. I really like that, but of course you can't because the blade starts far back. If you grip it further back, it's a little bit better, but then you kind of lose the whole point of having this forward bit. My hand, it doesn't fit well. It might fit your hand perfectly, but it just doesn't work for mine. And really, guys, that's about all I have to say about this knife. It's just not for me. I know a lot of people swear by this knife and EDC it and just absolutely love it. And you know what? Maybe you got a better knife than I did. Maybe I got a defective knife. I'm not sure. And you know, it's just my tastes. But personally, I would not recommend this knife until they fixed all the things that I've just discussed. How you would do that, I don't know. Maybe you could make the body out of aluminum, do something about the pivot. It's one of those things that for $100 knife, it should be more squared away than that. I can take a $6 knife, San Ranmu 710, and it is rock solid. You know, this is a $6 knife. This is a $95 knife. Come on, guys. So, competitive options. I would say the biggest competitive option, the one that I can hardly recommend, Spyderco Tenacious. Almost identically sized. It's a little bit smaller, I guess, but same style of blade. If you're looking for an assisted knife, the CRKT Igniter. And if you're looking at possibly spending a little bit more money, the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. So there you have it, folks. That's my take on the SOG Aegis. I know that this knife is also available with a Tanto type blade and different colorations of scales. It's also available in a mini. Maybe the mini would suit me a little bit better as far as just the ergonomics. But yeah, it's just not the knife for me. Could very well be for you. Take it for what it is. Like I said, there's tons of people out there that absolutely love this knife. But yeah, it's just unfortunately not for me. Thanks for watching. I appreciate all your support, guys. Please rate, comment, subscribe, and take care until the next time.